walking through the global strategy. Doing it in the form of an e-learning system. Unpacking the structure of the global strategy. From your perspective. Through training, getting into complex issues. This is us. This is what we propose. Hi, walk with me through the European global strategy to see key links, to zoom out, to allow you to situate yourself and to determine the relevance of the strategy for you. So I will be applying an independent, critical but still constructive approach to the strategy, which was put forward to the EU heads of state and government in the end of June 2016, and which will now be up for discussion across Europe. Some people may see this as a difficult discussion to enter in a period of Brexit, US elections, uncertainty about the situation in Turkey, in Russia, etc. But of course, you must form your own opinion. And this is the first in a series of educational materials that I'm putting out to help different categories of people to apply their perspective to the EU and to security policy at large for the benefit of their own work. So it's a question of self-study material. It is a question of being able to situate yourself in a larger context. It's a matter of training material for those categories of staff that haven't yet been involved in this kind of work. And it is a matter of training material, educational material to be used in wider contexts. So let's start walking through this 3D presentation, which will be the format for the various briefings and I will put forward. So as we come into the first room, I should perhaps briefly present myself. I am Lars-Erik Lundin, a former EU and Swedish diplomat. I'm working now independently but associated to CIPRI as a trustee to Safer World, as an NGO activist in the OSCE context. I'm a former EU ambassador. I'm author of the book on EU and security, which came out in 2015, and I'm a member of the Swedish Military Academy. So as I mentioned, this is the beginning of a production of educational material developed in several stages for self-study, for induction and education, or just simply for inspiration in several languages. I will come back to that later, where you can define your own level of ambition. Pick out one video or a series of videos and go through them as you like. Just for your information, I can mention that the second series will be about trafficking, starting already in Sweden with a trafficking seminar for the public, in the autumn of 2016. Now you may rightly ask, what's in it for me? Why is this EU global strategy important at all for us and for me, working in the context perhaps of NGO work, advocacy, working for a private company, working for government, maybe an EU member state government, or working inside the European Commission, in EU delegations, at the External Action Service, etc. Well, this is a question which does not have an easy answer, because even if we zoom in a very long text, there is almost 15,000 words here, which is much more than in 2003 with the European Security Strategy, which had only about 4,000 words. This is obviously a complex presentation of an even more complex topic and put forward in a very, very complex situation. You may also wonder to the extent to which the European global strategy will have a significant impact on European security. It is, of course, debated whether it will be possible to focus on its content, given all the uncertainties ahead with Brexit, the US elections, etc. But the strategy is based on a very wide public consultation and provides structure and overview in an unprecedented way to a series of topics not previously discussed in the EU security policy context. It illustrates in itself the widening of the security discourse, which has taken place in recent years in Europe and the world. Dismissing the potential of the strategy to make a difference would be particularly unwelcome if staff in the European institutions and the partners to the EU on all levels, ranging from international organizations to private entities, including NGOs, if all of these are left unaware of the existence and content of the strategy. It can be argued that many should be able to do much better in their work if they had a tool to zoom out and see the potential effects of their work in a larger context. This is to a large extent what the strategy is about, and this is what this briefing is going to try to help you to do. I have started already through the summer putting forward brief presentations on the internet on my website, ellilundin.org, on different perspectives on the strategy, ranging from the global strategy seen from an OSCE perspective, looking at it from a counterterrorism perspective, from the perspective of CSDP, from a geographic perspective, from the perspective of human rights advocacy, human security, the issue of internal-external coordination, the very topical issue of migration, and what about multilateralism, what about NATO, given the NATO summit this summer, what about religion, what about Russia, what about the security development nexus? All of these different briefings are available on the website, as I mentioned. But the point is that they need to be expanded, of course. There need to be more examples. And there may be a need for an oral commentary explanation about various links that you can see. So this is what the upcoming briefings will try to do. They will expand in text, voice, and imagery. I have put out the question to some of my followers on Twitter whether there is a need for European institution staff to have more training to be able to implement the EU global strategy. The High Representative has stressed the need for new strategies to be developed as a follow-on to the global strategy, etc. And indeed, my respondents, those of them who have taken the time to answer, given their view, predominantly believe that such training is at least necessary over time, and almost half of them argue that it has to be done urgently. There is a problem with this because there is actually very little training budget available inside the institutions for this, and there is also a problem of geography, the fact that very many people are located in the field and do not neither have the time nor the mission budget to go to capitals to get this training. And of course this is even more true for those working for NGOs or for external partners, implementing agencies, experts, etc. That's why I think that these briefings might be useful. I've already presented myself working independently. It's my own initiative, our own initiative, and it will obviously then also have the advantage of being able to take up also critical views and independent material in the presentations. So what's going to happen next? Well, I expect to produce a series of low-priced and some free videos and PowerPoint presentations of the type that you're just watching, that some of them will be able to be downloaded and used by trainers independently, and also adapted by trainers, for instance, when it comes to the language. I hope to put them out very low price, just basically covering the essential production costs, and they will come out with a start in September 2016. They will be available on the video publishing firm's website, mindbytes.com, and on my own website, linked to Mindbytes, and there will be a possibility to choose exactly what you want to have. So please stay tuned and join me in this walk through the European Union Global Strategy starting in September 2016. Thank you for listening in.